Good day, everyone. This is Bill, a hydrometeorological technician from the National Weather Service Forecast Office in Grand Forks, North Dakota. Now, today we're going to be taking a look at our recent cold snap here. We're going to be looking at the Grand Forks data, but this really is representative of the whole state and even region. Here's our first slide right now. It looks maybe a little bit busy, but take a look at the brown area there. Those are basically the normal temperature range, or that would be for essentially this time of year. We started this trace on September 1st, and it goes all the way to the current day. So you could take a look at the beginning of this period here. Most of those blue bars representing daily temperatures for each day, they're kind of within that little range there, that brown area, which means it's kind of close to average or normal. You do see there was a spike up there around September 16th or so, where that was that 90-degree, very windy day we had about a month ago. And that represents clearly the warmest day that we've had since. You can see the record highs are identified by the red line all the way at the top of the graph. And the record lows, well, that's the blue line all the way at the bottom. You see we came pretty close here at the Weather Service office just a few days ago. As you can see, temperatures just kind of plummeted after September 23rd or so, and it has been pretty cool every time since that day. So let's take a look at the next slide here. This gives you the last 14 or 15 days. I say 15 because we're going to say that this is going to be the coldest half month of October, first half of October that we have since we've been keeping records. And our records, as you can see, go all the way back to 1893. So that's a pretty robust, pretty long period of record to examine. And right now, since it is the 15th, we don't have today quite yet, but we're looking at the first 14 days of October. And if you thought it was pretty cold, it certainly was. The rank is number one right now for the coldest 14-day period, October 1st to 14th, since we've been keeping this data. And again, as we said, since 1893. You could see the value right now is 37.0. That's the average temperature, the average daily temperature for each day, October 1 through the 14th. And we're a good 1.6 degrees colder than the previous record. You could see back in 2009, we had an average daily temp of 38.6 for this time frame, October 1 through 14. And right now, we're a good degree and a half colder than that. So certainly once we get to tomorrow, we can say that this is the coldest first half of October for the Grand Forks area that we've really ever seen. So we are really down there in the cold temperature range. But there is some hope, though, and you're going to see that as we take a look at the next slide, because you might have observed that the western part of the country has been very cold the last couple of weeks, while it's been pretty warm out east. Well, that's going to kind of flip. First of all, you may have been looking at our forecast. Hopefully you have been. You'll see that the next few days we're going to actually get some moderation around here. We might even reach or crack 60 degrees by the time we get around to Thursday of this week. And just in general, this week is going to be warmer than it has been. But if you take a look, we're taking a look into next week now, October 20 through the 24th. This graphic doesn't come from us here at our local office. It's from the Washington, D.C. Climate Prediction Center. They cover the whole country in terms of temperature and precipitation trends. And you can see right now that it is going to be changing. As we said, that general regime is going to show some really cold temperatures, or colder than average, most likely out east in the northeast, while it warms up in the Pacific Northwest. We're kind of in the middle. This is kind of a 50-50 chance that it could be warmer or colder than normal. So we can't say for sure that it's going to be above average, but what I can say for sure is that it's certainly not going to be as cold as it has been the last 3 weeks. So that's certainly a good piece of news. Now we'll take a look at the same period of time next week. This is for October 20 again through the 24th. This is our precipitation outlook. And obviously most of us know that we've had a whole lot of precip, not only rain, but unfortunately for most, it's come in the form of snow throughout these parts over the last 10 days or so. But that is going to be changing. We're looking at a very, very good signal that it's going to be dry for the October 20 through 24th. Exactly how dry is not known. We might still have a day or two, maybe some trace amounts, maybe a tenth of an inch. But compared to what we have been looking at, we are going to be dealing with certainly drier weather than we have been. So that's good news for, well, any outdoor enthusiasts, cyclists, people like me that want to wrap up the golf season at least on a somewhat positive note. But more importantly for the commercial interests, the ag interests around here, because there has been a prolonged stoppage to the sugar beet and bean season and harvest. So it looks like we're going to be looking up for them at least for the next 10 days or so, and that's good news and certainly well needed. Now we're back to kind of a graph that I showed in the first slide here, and we'll end with this. This is examining a much broader period of time than we looked at in the first slide. Here we go all the way back to April 1st, and there is a reason for that. I'll explain in a couple of seconds, but right now you can see it's the same thing. You see the record high temperatures are that thin red line up at the top, and the thin blue line at the bottom are the record lows, and then that little channel, that brown kind of color that delineates what the high and low should be as we head from April 1st all the way to today, actually. So this covers about 6 months. Of note, we did have a nice summer. That's pretty good. You can see that most of those temperatures are within that brown channel, and most departures are a little bit above as opposed to low. So it was a little bit warmer than normal in terms of summer. But the problem, at least for a lot of us, is that it was kind of squeezed in. We had a late start to summer, and we certainly are getting an early end right now. And you can examine some of those bars. See those blue bars all the way at the left part of the graphic? That was the first half of April. You can see how far below normal that was. And correspondingly, you can see the first half of October is kind of the same story, very low temperatures. So what does that mean? Well, it means that we had a record low first half of April as well in terms of temperatures. As far as we've been examining records back to 1893 here in Grand Forks, we never had a period of time the first half of April that was colder, and now we've never had a period of time that was colder for the first half of October. So unfortunately, we did have a nice summer. That's good, but we did have bookends of some very cold weather on the first or prior to summer and now subsequent to summer as well. So that's the bad news, although, as I say, it is going to be warming up a little bit over the next couple of weeks or so. Well, we hope you enjoyed this presentation, and we do plan on keeping you updated, try to explain the mysteries of the weather and what else might be coming as we head into the late fall and early winter. So on behalf of my colleagues here at the National Weather Service office in Grand Forks, signing off for now. Keep tuned for further updates.